Last year, Leonard suffered a torn ACL in the midst of the playoffs. Last season, George got injured and was not able to play the play-in game due to the safety protocols, which entailed the Clippers lost their play-in game versus the Pelicans. Both Kawhi and George are superstars in the NBA, but their road to success was always not easy. However, with the assignment with John Wall and the comeback of Kawhi Leonard, the 2022 Clippers seems to be unstoppable. Before John Wall came to the Clippers, one of the weaknesses of the Clippers was their playmaking. Throughout these 3 years, Clippers was always lacking in playmaker. Their assist per game was always behind the league average, ranking 22nd in 2019, 17th in 2020, 16th in 2021. The 34-year-old Rajon Rondo was the best playmaker they had in the past 3 years. In 2019, Lou Williams averaged 5.6 assists per game. In 2020, Rajon Rondo averaged 5.8 assists per game. In 2021, George averaged 5.6 assists per game. So, John Wall, who averaged 9.1 assists throughout his career and is still averaging 7 assists in the 2020 to 2021 season, can absolutely help Clippers with his great playmaking. Which means George and Leonard can pay more attention on scoring rather than doing both scoring and playmaking. However, some will still argue that John Wall's offensive production will be reduced due to his injuries, especially his torn Achilles in 2019, which heavily took his explosiveness away, resulting his offensive impact got weaker. Even at the Houston Rockets, he suffered a grade 2 hamstring strain in 2021. As we all know, John Wall is a player that highly depends on his speed and explosiveness. With his athleticism decreased, his scoring will take a step back. But in terms of playmaking, John Wall can still make things work. Let's take Chris Paul for example. Chris Paul was well known as a great playmaking guard. At the age of 37, his athleticism and ability to score the basket was far behind his prime days, but Chris Paul can still make good use of his offensive impact to smash opponents' defense and dish out plenty of good dimes. His ability to run pick and roll and play one-on-one against the bigger guy is still brilliant. So as for John Wall, we have reasons to believe he can help Clippers run the offense better with the remaining oil in his offensive tank and his basketball IQ. He can still shot the ball, although the efficiency wasn't that good. He can still find open spot, dishes great dimes. But all the things above are set in an ideal condition. The reality is way more complex. On paper, this new Clipper team was dangerous, having Kawhi and George at the same time, while having tons of quality players like Robert Covington, Norwell, Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, and Terrence Mann. They have defensive stoppers like Kawhi, George, and Robert Covington. They also have offensive weapons, Kawhi, George, Norwell, and Reggie Jackson. Now they even have another solid playmaker, John Wall. This is really looking wild. But what if John Wall is injured? What if Kawhi is injured again? These things absolutely can happen, especially for the 225 pounds Kawhi Leonard. In the past years, Kawhi has to manage his playing time in the regular season to make sure he's able to play all out in the playoffs. He would take a rest in some games to help his body rehab better, and it is called load management. And his superstar privilege had once caused the locker room trouble, making teammates unhappy. Will it happen again? We don't know. On the other hand, John Wall, well, everybody knows it's easy to injure his body. Can he stay healthy? We don't know. Can he still put up the numbers he had in the Rockets, but with a higher efficiency? We don't know. What's more, can their head coach Tyronn Lue design suitable tactical plays for them? Can he manage players' usage well? What type of roster he should put up? What type of player should be with John Wall in order to maximize their production? Can the leader of this team, Kawhi Leonard, bound his teammate together? All these things remained a question. In a word, the 2022 Clippers will be a strong contender for the championship, but there are still plenty of factors can potentially ruin their championship run.